when I was literally like 5 years old, 6 years old, remembering how much they fought over not having money. So growing up in the kind of the poor family neighborhood got me to go, what can I do to be better than that? I know it's a hard thing to say, but it's true.
Is this where I need to start crying?
Well, we'll try and see if we can, squeeze a little bit of a tear out of you. But when did you first feel like you were living between two cultures, and how did that shape, the builder that you became? How do you stay looking so young despite all of that challenges?
Thank you, Teddy.
I mean, you have so much breadth of experience. I'd like to welcome our guest, Mr. Tod Sakai. He is probably the goat of, one of the goats of the builders here in Washington State. And I haven't really had the good fortune of knowing him until about a few months ago at the ARIA event. And so most people look at their backyard and see grass only.
Yeah.
But Tod, my guest here today, actually looks at it and sees the answer to America's housing crisis. And he was born in Yokohama, Japan. He rebuilt in the wake of the 1995 Kobe earthquake. And he has put up more than 1,500 homes and earned a wall of national awards, which we're going to show you later on. It's off to this section of the house. And he helped write the very laws that are now reshaping Washington's.
I would say I wrote it. I mean, there are smart people who wrote it, but I was on the team facilitating the House bills and Senate bills. Yes.
Wonderful. Yeah. Good correction over there.
I can't take credit for all of it.
Yeah. So you helped assist write it. Yes, sir. And today he opened the doors, for us into his lovely home, which is awesome architecture, to let us in and talk to us a little bit about it. So I'm beyond excited about this one because we are sitting inside this gorgeous home that you designed and that you built yourself. And this is a man who's spent more than 3 decades turning raw dirt into places that families can call home. He went from shipping building materials across the Pacific to founding Sakai Homes right here in Washington, to launching Sky DADU with one bold mission, and that is solving the housing crisis one backyard at a time.
One DADU at a time.
One DADU at a time.
Yeah.
He's a certified master builder, a devoted husband and father, a man of deep faith, and one of the most respected voices in our industry. So please welcome in, because this is one of the podcasts that I'm nervous about, super excited about, because I know that you guys watching will really learn a lot from the lessons. Please help me welcome the founder of Sky DADU and the president of Sakai Homes, the one and only Mr. Tod Sakai.
Yeah.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for
warm introduction. I appreciate
Yes, sir. So usually how I like to start things off is just by throwing you a couple of lightning round questions.
Sure.
So if you could only do one of these 3, which one would it be? And it's a 1-word answer. Baseball, golf, or mountain biking?
Baseball.
Baseball. Okay. Shohei Ohtani, is he a pitcher or a hitter?
Well, he's my brother, as you know.
Is that right? Right.
I wish.
Brother from another mother.
He's a pitcher who can hit.
A pitcher who can hit.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a good question.
Yeah. Wonderful. And, comparing to Ichiro Suzuki, who would you say is number 1 on your list?
Shohei. I mean, Ichiro himself has said this more than once. Shohei Ohtani is not just the physical abilities, but his mental side.
Wow.
Is, Ichiro truly just hats off to Ohtani's ability to manage his mental side of the game.
Yeah.
And I see that all the time.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Because especially in our industry, I mean, 99% of it is mental. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything is mental, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. Beer or wine?
Wine.
Wine?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm the same. And wine kind of gets me poetic.
Yeah.
You know,
as you get older, you don't want to have a beer gut. So wine's much easier.
There you go. Yeah. And, certain ones, obviously, they go down smoother and metabolize better too.
Yeah.
So, given a choice, Yokohama or the east side?
The east side is in here in Bellevue,
Yes,
Seattle.
sir. Mm-hmm.
Take the east side better.
East side
Yeah,
better.
I mean, I love Yokohama. Yokohama is right nearby the seaport as well. Very similar to Seattle, but I love Washington State.
Yeah.
Right? That's why I'm here.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. One last question.
Mm-hmm.
Your dad jokes. Do you get more groans or laughs?
My kids laugh.
Okay.
My wife kind of just shakes
her head. Oh man, that's awesome. Well, at least that your kids could laugh at you.
Oh, yeah.
And not take you so seriously. Because dad is dad.
That's right.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, I'd love to just explore a little bit about your story.
Yeah.
And a little bit about your philosophy, because as your trophies demonstrate, there's a certain depth about you. And so my goal is, whenever I interview my guests, is just to learn a little bit more about them, share a little bit more about to the audience, so they kind of get to know, the person that they're working with.
Yeah.
So, Todd, please take us to the start.
Okay.
You were born in Yokohama,
Mm-hmm.
and you are now a Western Washington University grad.
Mm-hmm.
You're building homes in the Puget Sound. Walk us back and to the time where, how did someone born in Yokohama end up here in Washington State? And what was the household you grew up in like?
Mm-hmm. So my dad had run his own business. It was a sporting goods shop, and but as kind of providing the sports gear, he tried many things, including starting up a little league team so that he has enough kids to feed the equipment.
Sure.
That's part of it, right?
That's actually a pretty good model, I would say.
Yeah. So that's a part of the reason why I played baseball all my life, but my parents just didn't get along, so there were a lot of fights, between the two of them. They gotten divorced.
Mm-hmm.
So growing up, it wasn't a very healthy, household family-wise, which kind of got me to go, I need to get out of this house.
Wow.
Yeah. And I started really thinking about just kind of getting out of there by the time I was about 8 or 9.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So, and that's kind of how I started dreaming about how do I come to America and get my life kind of away from, the family that I grew up in, unfortunately. Not my sister, she and I are close, but my parents, it was toxic to be around. So that kind of got me as a child to think about, what do I need to do to get out of this?
So that's kind of like the necessity kind of came about of your entrepreneurial spirit, I would say, or there was something about that sparked within you.
Yeah, I would say so. Given that sports gear, my dad tried to get them, to sell more, but it wasn't working well for him. So he was always behind the 8 ball, like just everything, and struggles and the money issues between my parents, mom and dad. When I was literally like 5 years old, 6 years old, remembering how much they fought over not having money. So growing up in that kind of the poor family neighborhood, or childhood got me to go, what can I do to be better than that? I know it's a hard thing to say, but it's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, well, appreciate you sharing that, because I could only imagine that it's very relatable to a lot of our audience, and it could, again, the goal is really to pick up the lessons of how you reassemble, those pieces of the memories of growing up to who you are today, and I think that's very valuable.
Thank you.
Yeah. So before Sakai,
Yeah.
you worked for a Washington company that shipped building materials for homes we were putting up in Japan. So you were actually building homes in Japan?
Yeah. So when you mentioned about the 1,500 homes, that's just in Japan.
Wow.
Yeah. So we shipped all the materials from here in containers, open top containers. And then, I set up a franchise business in Japan.
Yes.
So before I left the company, I had 43 franchisees. And then we were covering basically from Kyushu to Hokkaido, all the islands. The only place that we didn't really build was in Okinawa, which is an island kind of far off the coast. But everything on the main land portion, from Kyushu to Shikoku to Honshu to Hokkaido, I set up pretty much every prefecture had a franchisee. And that's how we kind of built these American-style homes.
That's amazing. So you were actually building American-style homes in Japan?
In Japan.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was that like? Because, before you earned any of these awards that you have on your wall, what did that actually teach you? Because 1,500 homes, I know some real estate agents that can't even sell, half of that throughout their entire career. You actually built it. So what did that, how did you even mold into that person?
Well, so the Kobe earthquake was the catalyst. So interestingly, I was working for the Japanese government when the earthquake hit.
Wow.
And then I was on one of the task force people that connected the Japanese government folks, mostly Ministry of Construction, and to how do we rebuild Kobe and surrounding area of Kobe with these, toppled homes, and thousands of people perished from that earthquake. But our goal was to how can we export from here to Japan 2x4, 2x6, what we call the platform construction, which they have Zairai construction, which is more post and beam based. So temples and shrines in the Japanese old way of building is bigger posts spanned out a little wider, like 4 foot on center, and they have tsujikais, which is like a cross strappings. But they realize when you put heavy tile roof on top of these posts, when earthquake hits, there's not much of lateral and shear versus to the platform construction like we have. 2x4s and 2x6s are thinner than those, but spaced only on 16 inches on center with plywood, which creates a lot more shear and lateral value for structural engineering. And then the roofing is not that heavy, so earthquake-wise, it's so much stronger. So that was the task force from the government standpoint of the Japanese government wanted to implement that into the Japanese code so that they can start to import, for us, export the 2x4s, 2x6, the plywood, the whole nine, and start rebuilding surrounding communities and of course, Kobe. But that started to kind of light the fire into different regions. People start to see these American homes, and that would be a cool thing for me. And so instead of the typical Zairai Japanese post and beam, younger generation started to look for American-style homes. That's why I set up the franchise business.
That's awesome. So there was a little bit of form and function involved, from what I can gather from that. What was it about the I guess the materials that we have that Washington State was actually able to export to Japan.
Well, if you look around, we have a lot of Doug fir trees.
Yeah.
Right. So Canada is a strong competition when it comes to that. Sweden is another place. Norwegian countries, they export quite a bit. But there are, certain locations. So Oregon, Washington, when it comes to soft wood, so coniferous trees, so it needs to be hemlock, spruce, fir, Doug fir. Doug fir is stronger than SPF. So a lot of the engineering wise, it made a lot of sense that we used the materials that we get to harvest from our area.
Interesting. And Doug fir is known for stability or lightness or
Dense.
density.
Yes, for soft wood. So since softwood being coniferous, versus to like spruce is much, it is softer. And Doug fir, if you shoot a nail into it, it's so much harder. So you need to set the compression higher. Actually.
Interesting.
I'm getting into the construction one-on-one.
Yeah, no, it's this is great because I mean I know about hinoki wood, which is it
very
like
hard.
Very hard. It's like a spruce, or
hinoki is probably closer to in between hemlock and fir, I would say.
Okay. Yeah, and I knew it through, table tennis because, you're into baseball, I'm into table tennis. And,
Okay.
like I would literally order these table tennis rackets from Japan.
Oh, interesting.
And bring it over here. So, and I'm always like, a little guy in a candy store because I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting my new, and they have, they aged it and stuff. But that's for another day.
Different topic. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So your name, Sakai, it sounds like Sakai, in Japan, and Sky here. And so you built both companies around that. And so when did you feel like, and this is for our, Asian American audience, because we do tend to attract a lot of them. When did you first feel like you were living between two cultures, and how did that shape, the builder that you became?
How did it shape me to become the builder that I am? Yeah. Interestingly, so the custom homes in Japan, some people don't, even know, we're building in outskirts of Hyogo Prefecture, and, I built a 6,000 square foot custom home in Japan a couple of times. But if you were in Tokyo, Osaka, it tends to be very small because very dense population. So in those dense areas, a lot of people have multi-generational living. So it could be the grandma, the son, his wife, and their kids. So 3 generations could be living in the 1,200 square foot home. And so the layout is very efficient. Everything they do not waste any spaces. They think of how do we maximize. Interestingly, DADUs, like Sky DADU, you've seen our packages and when we design, I'm very involved in the process to go, we do not want to waste a square foot or square inch because, DADUs happen to be like 1,000 square feet or 1,200 or 1,500. Very similar to the Japanese homes that we got to design and build. And we really took those elements into how we design our packages and the custom DADUs so that our clients understand that, wow, I didn't know you could do it that way to maximize the storage space. When you are limited to the amount of the square footage that you're allowed, you do not want to waste any space.
Correct. How much of that comes from you? That's something that you have to think about, because the way I think about it is, I can only imagine you growing up in Japan and everything you see, the way the lines run, the way the rooms are, is that there's definitely a certain aesthetic and philosophy to it. How much of that do you think you actually had to think about versus something that just came about? in your designs? That philosophy of maximizing like square inches.
Honestly, when you have bigger homes, I mean, you see my home, art and the decoration pieces, a huge part of it. But you get to kind of have big stuff, big pieces, right? In the smaller, limited amount of square footage, of course there are some, pictures and stuff that you might hang, but you don't have that kind of a, you can't have so much of the big things to go on. You don't have that luxury. So do I think about when we design? It just happens to be on the Sky DADU side. Now, Sakai Homes, we built a 12,000 square foot custom home, and people want that. We design it that way, and they want to, art lighting and where their, niche goes into for their specific statues that they have. That happens. But I think, with what is changing in our housing industry is we can't just afford to have a bunch of big homes taking up big land spaces. How do we utilize the backyard that used to be unbuildable, like the law that we worked on, is to understand that inside the urban growth area, it's very similar to what Tokyo went through, what Osaka went through, to go, we have more people coming in. And you can't just have a 6,000 square foot lot and just build yourself a 120 or 3,000 square foot house. And then whereas they've over the years, whether part of rezoning or creating different regulations and laws to allow for more density. Right?
And we're gonna go into that because I'm kind of putting two and two together now, where it's like, okay, parts like Seattle, Bellevue, Redmond, and Kirkland, where most of the jobs are, the density is definitely increasing versus more in the outskirts. And so we'll dive more deep into that, because I really like to learn the internal workings of that. So you said that, when you built a network of, 43 franchises and 1,500 homes, and you call that system a patented system, for a 25-year-old who can only build one thing at a time, how would you turn what you do into somebody's hands and someone that could actually run it? I mean, that was when you did that for 1,500 homes. That was like early 2000s?
I mean, I started working for them when I was 23. So over the course of 12 years, that's 1,500 homes.
Wow.
But sorry, your question is, how would a 25-year-old get to that point?
Yeah. What would you suggest that, say, like a 25-year-old getting into that? Yeah.
Good question. So commoditization is what happens in, how our capitalism works, is that, you're going to have fierce competition, right? So everything becomes commoditized over time if you don't create the something that differentiates what you offer, right? So, after in this case, when I was 25, setting up a franchise business, I didn't have to do that. I decided to turn it into a franchise program. And the owners that I reported to, they really didn't know anything about Japan or international business. So it was up to me to just kind of manage it. What I saw when I was 23 to 24 and sending these products from the US, if you think about 2x4s and 2x6s and floor joists and plywood, I mean, anybody can buy that anywhere, right? And then you just stuff it into the container and ship it, because those are readily available commodity. Is it not, right?
Yes.
So if they are, then it becomes, you get to the other side of the ocean and the Japanese realize, well, okay, well then who's going to be cheaper next time when you send over? So interestingly, one of your questions you had, what was the time like when I grew up to, this is in the early 1990s, 1994, 1995. If you remember, maybe you're young, so you may not remember this. Fax machine was pretty much the mode of communication besides the phone calls. It was all about the phones, right?
No emails yet.
No emails. It was just coming out, just about 1995. AOL was a big deal.
American Online.
And email system, so to speak, came out. People start to realize the internet and the websites and so forth. But at the time, if you think about it was really start to take off, and through fax, email, and the relationships between the Japanese buyers and the U.S. exporters, well, it's just commodity. Why don't I just buy it from a cheaper person, right?
Sure.
So when I say things get commoditized, the relationship at the time was the key for me to be able to sell something to the Japanese contractors. But I also knew that eventually it's gonna get to a point they would look for what other cheaper sources are there. But if you turn it into a franchise business like I did, to teach them not only how to build them, but what is authentic American style homes, and why is it important that we actually export these items and have designs? And so to differentiate, we're not differentiating as selling 2x4s and 2x6s. I'm going, here is the American style company, home that we can provide, and turning the consumers to look our way to go, that's what I want. Does that make sense?
That totally makes sense. So to recap, it's like part of it is the relationship, but also it's being able to deliver a unique product that is not as easily commoditizable, and at the same time put a Japanese lens into it because of your upbringing there, and be able to share it with them.
Yeah, that's a good point. So, the foundation is that you still have to adhere. You have to be able to pivot and adopt what they want on their land, right?
Yes. But to their tastes.
Yeah. But that's more the function of what they have to have, right? So those are functionality things versus to design and aesthetics and the feelings and the sentiment. That's something that it's more emotional side of things. Function side is more about, I just need these things to operate the way it is so that I can just live my day to day. But when I come home and see my home, it's the emotion to go, I own this beautiful American style home. I'm happy. I'm different than my neighbors' houses. I stand out. Whatever the case may be, if you kind of tickle the emotion part of the consumer to go, here's what I'm offering. This is what you've been yearning for. Maybe you didn't know.
Yeah.
But once they find it, they want it. Right.
Right. It seems like, because 1,500 homes is no small feat. And being able to do that in 12 years is even a bigger feat. I mean, if you were to do that again in Japan today, do you think the elements are still there in order for you to be able to do that if you were to do that?
Well, the exchange rate is, foreign exchange rate plays a huge role. So, and today we're talking, the yen is 163 to $1. When I was doing this, the yen was floating between 100 to 110.
Okay.
So it was very advantageous for the Japanese to import stuff from America. Today, everybody wants to go to Japan because when you get there, you feel like you have, getting a huge discount for eating sushi. What it would cost here, $150 for 2 people. You go over there, you're only paying 60. So you feel the equation is a little off because of the foreign exchange rate. So to answer your question, yen being 163, is it a viable business? It still can as a franchise model. They can keep going on that. But there comes a point, maybe it's a little bit too much for the Japanese consumer, typical consumer, to be able to have that.
Okay.
So that plays a role.
That plays a role in it as well. Okay. Yeah. So I guess, that would answer it for, say a 25-year-old founder,
Yeah.
if they were to put their hat on.
But that's part of it, why I started my own business. I could have stayed there, right? They didn't want me to leave. But I was, so this is 22 years ago, when Chris and I were dating, and I knew, this is the person that I want to marry. But since I was traveling 6-7 months out of the year, and I would go to Japan 2-3 weeks at a time, come back for 2 weeks, go again. So I did not want to become an absentee father for the future kids at the time. So my decision was, I want to find something like home-based here so that I don't have to travel like I did back then. So again, for me, pivoting and adapting to the new, would I have stuck around specifically for the franchise business that I was able to set up? And to credit, of course, it's not all about me at all. The franchisees, these architects and contractors that I worked with, they have become such great friends of mine. I actually go visit them every time when I go to Japan. So, knowing them for 30 years plus, we still have that relationship. So that could have kept going, but I did also see that it was becoming harder. Just the cost-wise, it wasn't equating to what we can offer because things start to get too expensive. So, again...
Is that what eventually pushed you to get out of?
Yeah, given that I didn't want to become an absentee father, but also from the business standpoint, I knew I was able to do a lot. And they kept going after I left, but it didn't work out for them after, so many years after that. And I feel bad for them, but again, there comes a point where you kind of have to, look at for your life to go, what can I do? What are the things I want to accomplish? So I decided to take a different road.
Is that built into you, or was that something that, made you learn, like, oh my God, you're reading the tea leaves and, you're looking 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years down the road?
Yeah. I think it is something that, I don't know, it's built into me, but going back to what we talked about, just coming from a very toxic, parents' environment where I wanted to have something a lot more stable, right? So stability comes with planning and executing it properly.
Right.
And so I set up, when I decided that I wanted to come to the U.S., I was like age 8 or 9. And then, at age 10, age 20, age 30, age 40, age 50, I was kind of planning to go every 10 years, where do I need to be? Wow. And then I would think about that, and I would just kind of make sure that I get myself to hit those milestones.
Wow. What age were you when you actually ended up going to America, and what actually facilitated that?
So I was 15 and a half, 16, almost 16. My sophomore year in high school as an exchange student.
Oh.
Yeah, and then
Did you have a sponsor?
The what?
Did you have a sponsor that actually sponsored you?
Well, it was a high school exchange kind of a thing, so it wasn't that expensive at the time. But I ended up, staying and graduating from college, got my practical training visa I got H-1B visa twice.
Wow.
It's probably a rare thing for somebody. But I was setting up a franchise business so that my franchisees have written these letters and recommendations that they needed somebody like me working for the American headquarters who understands the code and can read Japanese and all that. That was important to them.
Yeah.
And that made a big difference to the, back then it was a INS, Immigrations and Naturalization Services. And then, went through the interview, got my labor certification, got my green card, and then I got my citizenship by passing the test 100%.
Wow.
I should be very proud of that.
Right.
Yeah. Not too many Americans can claim that.
Right.
So, yeah. Sorry, I kind of went off the tangent, but can you repeat?
So, you came in when you were 16 years old, and the only reason I asked if you had a sponsor was because I went to community college as well, and I had a lot of, I came from the Philippines, went to community college, and I had a lot of Japanese friends that I was hanging out with because I felt like
you're right. The company that I worked for was the sponsor for H-1B visa, so they sponsored for me to work for the company, and that's why I was able to get the H-1B visa.
Yeah, that's great, and having that foresight to really plan out every 10 years. It sounds like it really came out of just wanting more stability and having a solid family life that you actually were able to create for yourself. Because it could go either way, for a lot of people that you can either go down a negative path or a positive path, and you obviously chose a positive path, with what you've created. So congratulations are in order for that.
Thank you. Is this where I need to start crying?
Well, we'll try and see if we can, squeeze a little bit of a tear out of you. But in 2007 I think that's when you walked away from the builder.
It was 2000. You mean the company that I used to work for?
Yes.
Yeah. So that was a builder.
Okay.
I decided to go on my own. If that's what your question is, yes. 2005 is when I kind of stepped into going on my own, and at the time, the company I worked for didn't want me to leave, and so we were trying to figure out what would be the best setup for me and for them. And we did that for a year or so to see. But, one thing you can't do is to have a safety blanket. This is something one of my mentors at the time told me. You're going to have to make a decision here. And that was a very good message for me at the time. While I thought, well, the family, the owners that I worked for, they wanted to keep me. They didn't want me to leave. Because of that, I was trying to do two different, jobs, so to speak. I was trying to create something for myself, but trying to always, appease the family, the owners. They've done so much for me. So I felt obligated to do that. But when my mentor told me that you have to come to a point, you're going to have to choose. And I chose the route to go on my own. So, if that helps.
Yeah. Because around that same time, I believe 2007, if research serves me right, is you and Kristen were recognized by the state for your work with rebuilding families.
Oh, yes.
Where you connect people in prison with their loved ones before their release.
Yes.
What pulled you towards that?
Yeah.
That work.
So as a Christian, I did not grow up as a Christian. I got baptized when I was 25. And, it's most essential and most important part of my life is my faith. So I taught Sunday school, for years. And when I met Kristen, I wanted us to find a ministry that we can kind of work together. So that was something that was important for me, and she concurred with that assessment. So we decided to take some of the prerequisites to qualify for the prison ministry. And originally, I thought maybe I would go to the prisons and have Sunday, ministry, and that's kind of what I was thinking about doing. But when we found out that women's prisons, or one back then was in Pine Lodge, was over in Spokane side, Cheney, Washington,
Wow.
and realized that many of the incarcerated, their children live in Western Washington, and they didn't have a way to get there. There's, how do you get to Cheney, Washington? It's 6 hours driving,
Right.
and these are little kids. So we found out about this ministry, Rebuilding Families, and that Little Bus That Could, or the Little Bus That Could, was the division of that, and they were looking for ministry chaperones like ourselves, and that's how I got into it, and then how we got into it. And after that, Governor at the time, Gregor, he recognized our efforts of connecting these little kids with the moms, and then these moms, when they exited, they got out of the prison, the ratio of not returning was like 98% success ratio, because we were able to educate them. This was not a handout. It was about teaching them. You got to understand finances. You got to understand how to work, and you want to be around your kids. Don't make these mistakes again. And the ministry was able to really cultivate that foundation for them. And then any of the funding was more of a loan to them. There were certain things that was donation, but there was a lot for them that they had to do. And because of that, returning to prison was like less than 2% or something like that. So it was an incredible ministry.
That's really amazing. So it's incentives and training is what it sounds like. But I think a bigger part of that was, the ministry aspect. Take us through that, because you said your guru was Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And faith runs through your family and through your volunteer work. So, if you don't mind just sharing, and indulge us a little bit on how your faith journey began and what eventually cemented it for you.
Well, it began, my dad gave me an NIV study Bible.
NIV?
Yeah, it's a New International Version study Bible, and that had the Testament, and then on the bottom, the kind of the footer notes, and they have a lot of, and then what Jesus said was written in red, and so you can clearly see the message. But fast forward, it's like, what is happiness? What is, and for me, happiness is more stability, just keeping a balance. It's not about money or fame. It's about finding the right balance to, and not only for me, and this is something that all my, employees, I want them to be able to just work from Monday through Friday during the business hours, and then get to have a dinner every night at home. Now we do, as we go, our business is expanding, so some cases the guys will have to stay at a location for 4 days, so they do 4 tens and come home. But to me, surprisingly, they love that. It's like, they're not gonna like it. It's like, business trip, this is cool.
Yeah.
And they go for 4 days and come back and have a 3-day weekend. But it's all about the balance, right? So while, building, making money and doing that, but also family time. So when you look at that, what is happiness? Really family time. And when you have faith as the foundation of your family growth. My kids are very much involved with the church, and so it's a nice thing to have as the backbone of happiness.
That's amazing. It's because it's things like that. Questions like that. I feel like most young kids don't really ask themselves like, what is happiness, right? Because most kids just kind of just blissfully or unblissfully go along with their childhood, right? I mean, when did you start asking yourself that question? Like, well, what is happiness?
Like I said, what I wanted growing up was just like parents not fighting, and I could feel like I want to be in this home. So it started when I was like 5 or 6, I would say.
Memories,
And yeah,
that early. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. All right.
You're looking at me like, is he crying yet? I'm crying now.
Well, it's really rich material because, I mean, just looking at what you're able to create, right, is from from a maybe not so happy beginning.
Yeah.
But the family you've been able to build, and obviously the housing and the properties. I think at some point it all ties in together. Because I wrote down stability and balance, which for any house, it's so. I mean, those are fundamentals, right? I mean, looking at, okay, the post, how it goes, you consider gravity and the weight and all that stuff. It's so fundamental to what we do. So I feel like it's just so central to who you are, as a person. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, congratulations again are in order because you were just voted as the incoming president of the Master Builders Association of King and Snohomish County for 2027. And it's one of the largest home builder associations in the country. So take us through. I mean, how were you able to, how do you think that happened? And what do you think the members who voted for you saw in you?
Housing and shaping the future of housing. And so MBA King and Snow is the largest home builders association in the country.
Oh,
so,
in the country.
In the country.
Wow.
And so what we do really does kind of shape where, the future of housing goes for the rest of the country as well. So they look to go, what is MBA King and Snow? What are they doing?
And when you say largest,
Yeah.
Sorry for interrupting. You say by the size of the members or
size of the members? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have over 2,300 members at MBA King and Snow. And most of the, so you have the federation at NAHB, National Association of Home Builders. NAHB is the federal, and the federation. And then you have the state levels. So we have the Building Industry Association of Washington. The interesting thing is MBA King and Snow is bigger than the state associations.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's how big MBA King and Snow is. But if you look from the federation to the state to the county and city, MBA King and Snow, what we do and why people voted for me to be to take the helm is because I deeply care about how we shape the future of housing. And that's the kind of at the outset, we talked about the laws that I've been involved in, how the House bills and Senate bills are written, and how we make sure those bills really are intended to do this and do that. The lawmakers are not builders, right? So they don't know everything about how these things come together.
Absolutely.
And I've been very fortunate that I got appointed to be part of the Legislative Policy Committee, a voting member, one of the voting members at the state level. So I get to read these bills for free.
Nice.
I don't get paid to do this.
Yeah.
A lot of work.
Yeah. I bet. Oh my gosh, like layers and layers and layers of pages.
Yeah, but what it does is you can actually see where the puck goes. And the important part is that shaping the housing policy for the future, actually those policies know where the puck will have to go. So since I'm reading, so I'm seeing where it's going, is why I created Sky DADU. Just by reading and understanding how to solve the housing crisis. And as I got the, solving the housing crisis one DADU at a time, why I made that into a trademark is because I care about what I can contribute. And I think the members saw that I don't need any more feathers in my cap. I'm not asking for it. This is not a resume.
Yeah.
I own my own businesses. It's not that I don't get paid to do this, but being involved and meeting with the mayors and the House representatives and senators at the state level to educate them so that they understand how to practically solve the housing issue is why I'm involved. And I believe that is the reason why people voted for me.
That's amazing. What do you think is the biggest hurdle that Washington State is going through right now in terms of housing? Is it price, permitting, or what would you say it is? Because it's kind of all inclusive.
Yeah. Permits, regulatory issues and permits, the time it takes have become a big problem. And so at NBA, King and Snow, and the state level, DADU, we have laws that pass to govern the municipalities to adhere to these, but they continue to find loopholes so that they kind of, don't issue the permits as quickly as they should. Now, there are two sides to that. Of course, every project we pull a permit, so it's important to do it right. But at the same time, the cities, they may not even have the plans reviewers that are capable to understand how the engineers designed and drew. And you go, well, okay, so you were a college intern that became a full-time employee a year ago, and you are scrutinizing what a structural engineer or civil engineer did. Do you know how to read these?
Yeah.
The reality is, to what extent, what's the balance in that? It's a hard thing. I'm not faulting the cities.
Right.
The reality is that they get so much information and they don't know how to process them.
Right.
So we're working on to help every jurisdiction, but that's just the nature of the game. So the problem does begin at the very top of the river, which permits are getting squeezed, and everybody wants to do this or do that, but it's not allowing the builders to build.
Right.
So unless you have the supply, you can't solve the problem.
Right. And I think, it goes into, kind of like a double-edged sword because, at one end, there's homeowners that would like to keep seeing their properties appreciate, which, could be a function of supply and demand. And yet at the same time, there is a supply issue that needs to be addressed because we are a growing state. And I think there's estimates that we could grow another 1 or 2 million in the next 5 to 10 years or so. So, these people are going to need a place to live.
And a great question in that. And I think, I talk about this in the certification class for Sky DADU. Why I named Sky DADU, a lot of people didn't understand why I didn't just call it Sky like ADU or, something like that. The DADU is so different than the middle housing, and the supplies coming online right now in the market is you see a lot of the units and they are just like sitting empty, right?
Yes.
So you see a lot of those.
Yes.
Well, you can't just shove people into just tiny units either, right? Well, DADUs are standalone homes. I mean, these are single family residences. the type of ownership is condominiumized. And a lot of people, as I say, condominium is not a type of architecture, it's type of ownership. What's important is that we're using that as to somebody can own a single family residence. It was condominiumized so that you can own it. Well, the owning that is part of the American dream, has always been. Own a home. And multi-level, multi-family, these are like, 3-story, buildings.
Apartments or quadplexes?
I'm talking, but I'm
multiplexes?
talking about multi-family middle housing. So under House Bill 1110, you can do like a 6-plex or, 3-story, 4-story, whatever. But people don't want to just buy into that to go, what about parking? What about, quality of life for my kids in that? So, to me, a DADU is an SFR, and then there is land. There's a front door. The kids can, walk out, ride their bikes in the nice neighborhoods. That's what to me, what we call the attainable housing law, which is House Bill 1337, whereas House Bill 1110, the multifamily, is a lot more geared towards affordable, but maybe that is not filling up as fast as what people thought. Because when you are, thinking for the future, do you want to be shoved into Unit 502 and call it good? When you are expecting a baby or you already have kids, most people want to have an SFR, right? So a DADU really fills that void.
Oh, that's amazing. I do see those listings that you talk about all the time, where it's attached to another main house, and I mean, yes, you are correct. It's affordable, but it may not be the most ideal living type of situation for average, first-time home buyers or even long-term homeowners, I think. So you're addressing a very important aspect of this housing crisis that we're having. Another thing that you mentioned that I really appreciated is when you said at the certification class is, just because you can fit 6 houses in a 5,000 square foot lot doesn't mean that you
6
should.
units.
Oh, 6 units, yeah. 6 units in a 5,000 square foot lot doesn't mean that you should. And I think that really reflects your philosophy of long-term thinking for the actual homeowners themselves, not just building something, take the profit out and then, okay, see ya, kind of thing.
It's true. We use highest and best use, right? HBU, that term's been around in real estate forever, right? But the highest is not necessarily the best, right? So I think to shape the future of housing, we are understanding, I think the market is telling us, while House Bill 1110 works great for multifamily in certain locations, maybe nearby the train stations and so forth, stations in different areas. But if you look at, you have a lot more in the suburbs. I mean, these are bigger lots, bigger places that can be thoughtfully increase density, thoughtfully, not just quickly, not promptly. And you do not want to displace the very homeowners who live in those homes. We don't want to just go, the front house, a developer comes in and tear down and build a 6-plex. Well, there is history attached to that. There is a preservation of what Seattle feels like. And you don't want to tear down these bungalows and craftsmen that was built in 1940s and 50s. They're still working very nice homes. But there's plenty of space to be thoughtfully designed to match, and we do that, as you know, to look at the roof lines and shed roof, and by creating the house that emulates the look of the main, just blends in and preserves the history. So preserving history of Queen Anne and Magnolia and all these areas, Madison Park. people are worried about because they don't know the difference between 1110 and 1337. But House Bill 1337 for DADU specifically written for it, it just brings out the best, and it may not be the highest use, but to your point, and that's why the DADUs done right, they sell off because it's a single family residence and people want them.
Right.
While the multifamily units just sit stale.
How have you been able to overcome that, sort of stigma? Because it's in the popular culture, I guess, or popular conversations that a majority of homeowners have, right? There's that fear or that stigma of, you're going to turn our neighborhood into something that's unrecognizable, to put it in the mildest sense. How do you overcome that? Like
Education.
education.
Right?
Yeah.
So we have textbook, and we have a textbook, and we're coming up with the new version as well. But why I work with the brokers, real estate agents and brokers, because you guys know the community. You know every micro neighborhood and every community, and you listen to the neighbors, what do they want, and and people who live there, they don't want to just sell out to the developer and then have he or she comes in and tear down and just change everything.
Right.
People have seen that, and that's why, how do I change that is, right now we have 186 CSBs and certified Sky DADU brokers. And as you are one of them,
Yes,
thank you,
sir.
Teddy. And
So much.
why that's important is that as you learn from the certification class and more, materials that we provide to the CSBs, and knowing what your clients are saying in these neighborhoods, once you educate them, they realize, oh, I didn't know I could stay here in my home and still gain liquidity or passive income. I'm like the developer. Exactly. You are teaching this person who lives in Queen Anne to go, you can become your own developer without moving or selling your property.
Yeah.
By, educating that, again, one DADU at a time. Once the neighbor, as you know, we have showcases, right? We do a showcase, the neighbors find out they get to do that, everybody wants to do it, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's going to take a little bit more time because this law is so new. The full passage was just August 1st of last year. So it's been just coming up a year now. So you're going to start to see these things and how, in the neighborhood, oh my gosh, they actually got to gain liquidity. They're making passive income. Oh, they're housing family members and they're reducing the cost of the care. All these are neighborhood discussions, and people are going to realize. So the more you show those examples, I think those examples will expand more of what they actually want. And they probably don't know it yet.
Exactly. Well, that's one thing that really got me excited after hearing you speak at ARIA convention is you compartmentalize and look at so many of the different aspects of what would actually go into the housing situation, whether it's the legislative side, the building side, the function side, and obviously maintaining that certain legacy and atmosphere of what the neighborhood would look like. Take us through in 2012, because you won Sakai Homes won 9 statewide excellence in remodeling awards in a single year.
Yeah.
That's like something that I think the competition began in 1990, and I liken it to like the Grammys, like Michael Jackson winning a bunch of Grammys for. But in your case, it was house building.
It was an amazing year. Interestingly, a lot of things came together, and we are the most awarded company in Washington State now, and that was a big bump in that year. But to get to that is really taking care of your team. We are blessed to have amazing, talented, crews, carpenters, project managers, superintendents, from accountant to human resource, everybody. Just a really, well-oiled machine, and the care and the attention to detail, and having these actual, carpenters and master carpenters in-house, we get to control the quality. While in 2007, 8, 9, and when, housing was going down like this, we got to hire really great people, talented, and we focused on how do we make every project award-winning. So Sakai Homes trademark is award-winning quality at a lower price. And the reason why I focus on that is, if you look at every project, I'm talking from the sales to accounting to, project management to construction and, carpenters. Everybody understands our goal is making this project, doesn't matter small or big, award-winning. What do I need to do today? What do you need to do today? What does she need to do today? What does he need to do today? Is everybody asking that question themselves and then working with the team? It just becomes an award-winning project. So it's interesting. It really is.
It's interesting how when you start with a goal in mind, it sort of like sets a precedent for everybody else and keeps everybody focused on a goal.
Yeah.
Do you still sub out work, or is everything mostly all in-house?
Yeah. So, Washington State, by law, MEPs, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, they're separate licenses. So as a general contractor, but since we do 90 to 100 projects a year now, my plumber, Greg's guys, and my electrician, Jeff's guys, and they don't really work for anybody else but pretty much us, because they're so, production-wise, we're in sync. Yeah. So when you look at trades, our trade partners, like Greg, the owner of the business, is the master, journeyman plumber. And then he has like 6 guys, and he might have another 2 journeymen and the plumbers and so forth. And they are not like marketing people, and they don't go out and beat the bushes and see, I want to get a plumbing, bid for you. They are just in sync with the general contractor that feeds the work to them. But in return, all of these trade partners of ours they know all my guys, all the project managers, superintendents, everybody knows everybody. So again, what is it that when you said, we're going to do every project as an award-winning candidate, what do we have to do? Okay, Candace, Trisha, designers, thinking this. But in order to make that happen, hey, Max, Lou, what do you guys have to do at the job site? And hey, Natalie, Oscar, when you start asking these questions as to PM, to supers, to everybody, and the designers and the trade partners, they're all bring the best things that they can do to make it work, right? So, do we sub out? Yeah, by law, some things. But our guys can pretty much do everything.
Nice.
We build foundations, we frame, we do all the finish work. And there are certain times it's cost effective to have a certain elements like roofing and drywall to come in as trade partners can come in. But again, those guys work with us on like a daily basis.
It's amazing how you play baseball, but you're more like a quarterback in a lot of ways.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Baseball taught me a lot. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And for those who don't know what a master journeyman is, that's like being the highest of the high when it comes
so
to...
you can go through apprenticeship, and there are different programs to pass. But essentially, if you're an MEP, so mechanical, electrical, plumbing, you have to qualify for those how many hours and tests and different things. And same thing in craftsmen, master carpenters. If you want to be certified as a master carpenter, you got to go through a specific set of tests and regulations.
So this is for the young kids. This
Yeah.
question is for the young kids listening to us right now. And when I say kid, anybody that's maybe 25 or under. But uh, in 2003, you earned an export achievement certificate from the U.S. Department of Commerce, and you were an emerging trader of the year from Governor Locke, who's funny enough. I was just seeing him in the news cycle again recently. And the award that you won was for building an international revenue source. What would you tell the young kids that are listening to us right now? How to find emerging markets, and what, from a builder's point of view, how could they build something out of that?
Well, I mean, again, from the building, construction and building might be one element to it. But to answer your first question, which is young folks, watching this, how do you find a way to create your own business? If that's the question. Be patient. That's the most important thing. Is today's world is so, everything is right at your fingertips. So everybody wants to make a quick buck, right? But to actually make a business and make it into a profitable business, what truly is needed is your patience and just grind out every day. Put your nose to the grindstone, grind it out, and you're going to go through hardships and you have to overcome them. And only time can give you these things. So unfortunate part of in today's world is so ubiquitous. Everything is so quick. And you get your reels and shorts and everything is so condensed. But the reality of running a business or owning a business isn't so much about where's the emerging market and where can I, sell to or so forth, but rather think from a standpoint of, I don't want my business to provide commodity-based materials. How do I turn this into something that has a more, return on investment, the capital the client is ready to spend? That's what I would focus on.
And how would that look like when you say grind out? Maybe speak from your perspective of what you experienced during that time.
Oh, it's a grind every day, every day. Some people will try to take you down, so you might run into difficult clients, customers, might try to bring you into a lawsuit. And you just have to think to go, I'm not gonna quit. And, that's what I mean by grinding it out, is that I just don't quit.
Yeah.
No matter what comes my way, I have faith that, okay, I get thrown into the dark tunnel, but the light is out there. Maybe you crawl for a while, but I'm gonna find the light, and you just have to grind it out. And I don't know how else besides the grit, and that grit that I have, I just don't quit.
Yeah. How do you stay looking so young despite all of that challenges?
Thank you, Teddy.
You have so much breadth of experience. It's like, you're a lot younger than you look, despite of, these headaches that you describe.
Well, thank you.
Yes, sir. But with Sky DADU, you
I don't look 85.
It's that Asian discount, you know, and you got that, you got that samurai blood in you too, of being, never say die attitude, right? Um, so this is going through your natural evolution now, right? Because with Sky DADU, you stopped being just a contractor, and now you're getting into becoming the equity partner. Sometimes funding up to 100% of the backyard home and sharing the income. Um, and so, what made you bet that the real bottleneck was money and not construction? And how do you test that bet, being such a big, it's almost like risk to you? How did you vet that?
Well, two things. One, the bottleneck is always money. People want to do something, but financing and the funds are not so readily available. So, I've seen that so many times in my career. So that's one. But the second part to this is I used to go buy houses and, short plat them. I've done subdivisions, long plats, short plats, infills, tear down, you name it. I've done those. And the reason why the property owners have to sell is because they need liquidity, they need the money for in their life stage where they're at. And a developer hiring a real estate broker and say, Teddy, go find me a property, and then you do. So there's one step away.
Sure.
And you might find that the client or the property, the seller, you are talking to, his or her real estate broker, so you may not know all the details. But somebody who's buying it probably don't even want to hear all the details either.
Yeah.
Right? But the reality is, when you actually listen to them, they probably don't want to move. But they need to make money somehow because their biggest asset is wrapped up into their real estate holding.
That's right.
So, just understanding though the conundrum is that the financing, I'm talking typical debt financing, is not so available because most homeowners are strapped down with a mortgage and maybe a HELOC.
Right.
So there has to be some kind of a solution to connect, and there's a big gap, right? And they want to build it, but they can't qualify, or they have too much. And so figuring that out was how do we solve the housing crisis? Well, first, they have to be able to build it. And the construction loan is a whole different thing than just getting a mortgage. You can't just get a mortgage to go, I want to use that for construction. You can't do that. You got to get a construction loan that turns into a mortgage. But if you have a mortgage already on the property, you have to go through a partial reconveyance of title. When you think of all those elements, the bottlenecks, I realized that instead of me being the developer like I used to be, I want to help the property owners because they need help to liquidate something or create a passive income, but they want to stay. So those elements kind of came together for me to go, I can shift my capital to deploy my capital to help the people that own these properties. The beautiful part of this, Teddy, is simple. A developer would have to continue to go out and buy the next project and next project. So once I finish the build and you sell them off and make the profit, and that profit will have to find the next property that I'm buying, right?
Right.
But the next property that I'm buying is already at today's market prices. And next, right? So it just keeps going up. And that's almost as if, unfortunately, you might grow your business to bankruptcy, right?
And a lot of builders do. I mean, from what I heard, especially in the last cycle.
Yeah. But what I'm doing is property owners bought their properties years and years ago. So they bought it, here, not buying it here.
Right.
Well, they bought it here and they have 2 extra lots. So their land prices are down here. But once I build the house, the land price is already here. So this DADU appraises at here, right? So there's a lot of profit that they are sitting on. So in order to unlock that liquidity, again, CSPs like yourself, educating them to go, don't sell your property to the developer. Stay where you are. Don't tear down your house. Maybe we can remodel. We can remodel and make it better. But the land space is where truly what they have the most valuable asset that they own is actually the backyard just sitting empty, and all they're doing is mowing or blackberry bushes.
Right, exactly. And I think there's a lot of people still don't know about this because it's such an emerging it's just a new law.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, if you talk to somebody who may be interested and not fully grasp like how big this is, say maybe to somebody
it's a game changer of our lifetime.
Yeah.
I've never seen a law like this pass. House Bill 1337 is the one that threads the needle. I've read Senate Bill 5559, House Bill 1110. I can go down the list of what 2304 does and all this, but the reality is that when you read everything, it comes down to 1334 is 1337 is the only one that threads the needle from reducing the development cost on right-of-way construction, frontage improvements. We're exempted from that. That alone is huge. And when you do a lot split like House Bill 1096, you still have to go through the short plat process while it's admin only, but there's, so many things you have to adhere to and setbacks. 1337, what used to be an encroachment is now buildable, right? Like some cities like Kent allows 2 feet from the side, 2 feet from the back. I mean, what used to be 25 feet, now you gain like 23 feet of the land that's buildable. So yeah, it's talk about a game changer. If this, the industry, experts like myself, land use attorneys, my good friend Terry, he's a land use attorney. He holds up a prospector and says, "This is the next gold rush you're sitting on right now. You just don't realize." And I just love the way he says it.
Is that right? He does this on social media or
no,
an actual
he and I teach like some clock hour classes together. And he just, he's trying to, like as I am, we're trying to show people, and especially the community like real estate brokers, if you understand how big deal this is, then you got to go out and educate.
Exactly.
Right? And that's how you're going to change the world, is just one at a time, one DADU at a time. But the reality of the lawyers, builders, developers, we know how big deal this is.
Yeah. Go more into that because, Sky DADU now, we just don't build the house in the backyard anymore. I mean, we finance it, we build it, then we manage it all under one roof. For a homeowner, that's, maybe facing this for the first time, what do we take off of, or what does Sky DADU take off of their plate when they just think, well, I'll just build it myself?
Well, try it. DADUs are actually harder than the custom home. You know why?
Why?
Because there's a home sitting in the front, has utilities, and then you're adding another, house in the back, and sewer, water, power, and how, the drainage, everything has to work in the tight little space. So, I am a builder, as we've been talking about. I just happen to be able to utilize my capital to finance, but I'm not just, I'm not some kind of a, hard cash lender financier. I'm a builder. I'm interested in building.
Right. And you're trying to not become a hard money.
Yeah, I mean, I'm using the capital because the bottlenecks are there, right? But the reality is I want my team, what we do best, we are a builder. We are builders. We know how to build. So a lot of builders who claim that they are DADU or ADU builders, unfortunately, they may not realize the utilities and how complex these things are or all that. And that's the unfortunate part is some companies have gone, belly up in the middle of all this because the new shiny object is the DADU. Oh, it's a small home. I'm a builder. I can do this, and I'm gonna cheap, and I can commodity, and I can build it for you cheaper. Only to realize I didn't know the sewer hookup is going to be a 6-inch connection, and SDOT has to get involved. They don't figure those things out. Who is holding the money bag? The property owner.
Right.
And then they go, well, we don't have the money to pay for that. I didn't know you had to cut the street like that. And then that builder who didn't have the experience to understand like we do, well, you have to pay for it. It's utility. Then it stops. You know how many homes like bad builders took on that's just sitting like half finished?
Oh, there's too many. I mean, even for my personal experience of recommending just a normal contractor, it's so hard to find like really, really good communicators, really on time. And it's super stressful, for a lot of sellers. And this is just maybe painting a wall or updating something in the house, even for just my regular clients. I can only imagine how it would be like for somebody who's trying to build a totally new structure.
Yeah. And on the flip side of that, maybe some of the viewers can understand this part. But the property owners don't know all of it, right?
Yes.
And so they just are still in the mode to go, well, who's going to build it cheaper than everybody else?
Yeah.
So the inclination is, well, I want to maximize my money or whatever, so I want to build it as cheap as possible. What the problem is that they're not comparing apples to apples, whereas a company like us, who we are a general contractor. I've been building for 30 plus years, right? So I know what it takes to get these things done. Well, we're not going to miss those line items. Well, they're comparing a bid from somebody else who doesn't know everything that we know. And they go, oh, well, this is, to be verified, blah, 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 blah. And then they realize later on they sign up with the wrong company, and then they just kind of flakes out. Now you have a half-finished home. And we get calls all the time from people whose contractors walked away or they got into a dispute, and now they need that house finished, and they just don't have any funds.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So stop from just looking at the bids, trying to you might be tempted to find the cheapest, but that's never a good sign. You really need to read the fine print, the utilities, the drainage, what about this and what about street and how do these things work? Somebody like us, actual expert in custom home building, and DADU is even more complicated because it's a smaller home behind the house. And to not just to design and come up with the price, but understanding all of it, the groundwork, horizontal construction before vertical. Those are the things that I hope everybody finds that. But I'm seeing still to this day, and will continue to be, unfortunately, property owners just kind of look for the cheap, and then that's what they latch on.
Yeah. Give us an example of one of those items that you get a call on about. Maybe one or two.
Yeah, I mean, literally just, the contract didn't know what he or she was doing and did certain things, and they got in trouble and they left. I mean, I literally just went to one of the CSBs, invited me to this place in Ruston, Tacoma there, and a beautiful place, looks over the whole bay there.
Yes.
And this house, somebody started remodeling, and they are selling it. It's been sitting empty for like a year and a half.
Wow.
In a great location. But my understanding is that maybe it wasn't properly done. They didn't pull the permit. I mean, and just like, and the CSB brought this client who wants to buy that and build a DADU, but I have to tell them, first, you're going to have to deal with the main house. It's buyer beware. You're going to have to take on this. So, again, I won't get into all the details, but, scenarios like that are plenty to go around. Sad.
Yeah, that's fair. Sky DADU builds at a fixed cost, and you draw a hard line between being a builder and being a hard money lender. So, how do you put a fixed number on a job without getting burned when materials or labor move on?
Well, I am kind of 3 in 1, if you think about it. So finance, build, and manage. So finance portion, I am a hard cash lender. But if you hire just a hard cash lender, you're going to have to go find the architect, the builders, and everybody like your question, right? But I'm a builder, right? And then I also can do property management because I own a lot of rental properties myself. So I come in just one form. But the important part of this is that I am, by ordinary income, everyday work, I'm a builder. I just happen to have the capital to deploy, right? So whereas the capital people that are not builders, they are interested in just earning the interest. So as soon as you pull the money, the clock is ticking. Now it's up to you to find the builder. And the hard cash lenders, they don't care. Oh, you need to extend 1 more year? Well, it goes up to 20%.
Yeah.
Right? And it's not in their best interest whether you have the right builder or not. You're just borrowing money from me. The difference for me is why I can come up with a fixed price. Experience. And as I said, I have my own in-house crews, but also our MEP trade partners and all of them, they're working with us every day. I know their cost. I know what we commit to. When they show up to our job sites, they're not standing around thinking, what do I do today? They know the moment they show up, they can get things done.
Wow.
And that's how you actually get a good price. And to understand the cost is, what you need. What a client needs is simple. The price the client pays is the same as the incurred cost. That's what the client is looking for, right? Think about it.
Yes.
But if you hire a bad contractor, and I paid the price of $300,000, what he told me. Well, he or she thought that was the price I paid, that's the cost I incurred.
Right.
But what if you had to fire that person and you already paid $250,000, but then there is another $60,000 for street cutting and sewer connection, water, and then the finishing up, it's going to cost you another $160,000, not $50,000.
Right.
Now your cost is $110,000 higher than the price you paid.
Right.
So what the client wants is the price I incur is the cost I incurred, right? They need to be equal.
Yeah.
Well, how can you do that if you don't have the experience to give you a fixed price?
Right. And a lot of beginner investors don't even think about it because they just as you mentioned earlier, if you're gonna go to a hard money lender, say whatever East Side or whatever, you still need to hire your own architect, your own designer, your own carpenters, builders. Whereas if they decide to work with Sky DADU or Sakai Homes, they'll be able to integrate all of these moving pieces and not have to manage the whole thing. And it saves so much time and headache, I think.
Yeah, because we go through the feasibility phase, as you know. We do the suitability assessment for free, right? But when the property is suitable, yes, we have to get a survey. That costs, several $1,000s. So the money starts to, the cost, you're going to incur some costs.
Right.
I don't commit to the project or 100% financing until we go through the feasibility. the ultimate goal of the feasibility phase to determine every cost that goes into it. That's why we can fix the cost. That's why it can be the capital, right? That's why I can lend the money, because if I don't have the fixed cost into it, how do we, share profits or whatever, right? So we all need to do that. So it's my team, our project managers are, the best in the state. I mean, just top notch. We can talk with every PUD, every, jurisdiction, understanding how we engineer and how we get this line through, or PSE or SCL or whatever the case may be. We can see things that most people don't even know what to look at when we get to the job site. And we know what to look for, and therefore, when we put together the budget breakdown is a cost breakdown. We know the cost, right?
Yeah.
Quick question.
Sure.
How long do we have?
I mean,
yeah, I actually have to get going here soon.
Oh, you have to get here soon? Okay, no worries. We're almost maybe 2 more questions, 2 or 3 more questions, so not too far away. With House Bill 1337, I mean, it sounds like it's shaping up to be such a landmark bill. Where do you see it in 10 years? Looking back, let's say it's 2036. How would you see Washington State, how it has been affected by House Bill 1337?
The neighborhood character should not be destroyed. I think that's how we're going to see it and measure it and gauge it, is that we were able to increase density gently. And in 2036, when you walk, the Seattle, historical neighborhoods, Tacoma, you go, oh, 1337 is serving its purpose to preserve history of these great neighborhoods that we never want to lose the character of. This is what made Seattle Seattle.
Right.
Don't let it become just San Francisco. And keep those older homes, and they're in, we can remodel. It's just a character. Keep them. I think when we look around 10 years from now and realize, wow, this neighborhood stayed, the character is the same, but they see maybe a little roof line in the back, but matches up. Let's go, doesn't look any out of place. It's just, and then there's another house back there. It's a DADU, and a whole new family moved into it, and the kids are going to this school district that my kids go to. To me, that's success.
It's a great segue, because you say success is also sustaining good work-life balance, and that the last time you fully unplugged was when your kids went to spring break. So in a trade that takes a toll on both heart, body, mind, spirit, how do you actually keep the work from eating up what's the most important?
Family dinner every night. I cook. My wife doesn't cook. But Asian cooking is so good, right?
Right.
So
Shout out, Kristen.
Is she gonna be watching this?
Yeah.
I grow my own veggies and organic veggies, and I can pretty much cook anything. But the fun part of it is that it's like, when I'm cooking, the kids are here, and I turn off no phones, no TV, no radio, nothing. We don't even play any music in the background when we sit down. And the kids grew up in that. So we do that every night, which kind of, our older one is in college now, but, still with the younger one, we do it. When the older one is home, we do it. Is that it just grounds us to every day, we just look at, each other, and we go through, how was your day? And we have to elaborate. That's the rule. You can't just go, fine. It's a fine day. No. You got to elaborate. And that's what, the balance, work life, and what grounds me is just having a family dinner every night and no phones.
That's amazing and beautiful at the same time. So you're saying time and presence is what I got from that.
Yeah. And when I'm cooking, kids know because they want to learn. So they would sit there and watch me what I cook, and they want to help out now. And but when we sit down, when it's a meal that I prepare, and we prepare, we sit down together, right? So as simple, I mean, that's what people used to do. I think, and somehow you get the TVs, the radio, the speakers, the cell phone, and people start to kind of be in their own space. And I don't let the kids, I never did, never have. If the kids have even, phone on the table, I say, no, that's bad manners, get rid of that. And they know, so they don't even show up to the table behind me here with their cell phones. They're smart enough to go, phone's got to be away, and no TV, nothing. But that allows, for half an hour, an hour sometimes, to just sit down, be present, and ask questions. And you'd be surprised how simple that is.
Yeah. I don't even think your kids know how fortunate they are to have such a strong dad that's present. And I think we're coming into American culture now where, they actually get to benefit from both the Western philosophy and the Eastern philosophy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. So
are you going to start crying now? I got to cry.
I think it's just so great because, there's a lot of, reels now talking about Asia maxing or Japan maxing, because it's, we have the geo arbitrage, talking about the exchange rate and whatnot.
So,
yeah. So,
that's a great point, East meets West, right? Exactly. And I think, I didn't know those terms, but blending those elements and, kind of as we talk about, as we wrap up in this is that, multi-generational living, right? You probably, the Asians, we always think to take care of our, parents and family. And, I feel that way, although my parents, my dad passed away. But, through all that, I think it's in us to want to do better.
Yes.
And that better really kind of runs into everyday life, taking care of the kids, and they become better parents one day.
Right.
So staying focused on those little wins, not big wins. I don't see like, success and I made it because I got this house or the car. I don't care about, those things. And those things will come with time if you do it right. But if you celebrate small successes every day, there's never a bad day, Teddy.
Yes.
Absolutely. You might have had a collection of bad moments, but there were some good moments mixed in them. And if you focus on those good moments, and then you have dinner at home, and then I had this bad moment, that bad moment, but look at right now, it's a good moment.
Yes.
And that's a success.
Well, that's awesome. To wrap this up, I know that both of your wife and your son and your daughter are not here with us today. If you could send them a message right now, you could talk to them in the camera. I mean, this is what you're doing it all for. I could imagine. What message would you like to share to them?
To my wife and kids?
Yeah.
They're in New York. Is it hot? I'm glad I'm not there. Is that the message?
Yeah, right.
I miss you guys, They're going to come home on Friday, so look forward to seeing you.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So once all is said and done, you've solved the housing crisis one DADU at a time. Looking back, when you step away from all the marketing, what do you want those 3,000 or so homes that you've built and the clients to say to you? And we'll end it at that.
Todd's still the same guy.
Okay.
I don't need to change. It's not much. Just, he's a good friend, or he's a good dad. He's a good husband. He's a good friend. That's pretty much it. That's it.
What would that do for you if you're able to have somebody say that to you? Like, you never changed. He's still the same solid guy, great father, great builder.
That, is everything, really. Yeah.
It's everything, huh?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, well, great. Well,
Thanks,
that
brother.
being said, Mr. Tod Sakai,
Yeah.
thank you so much for spending some time with us
Yeah,
today.
you're welcome.
Watch out for it, because
Thank you.
we're going to have him speak at our event on September 16th
Oh.
in Bellevue.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and talk about HB 1337 some more. And yeah, tune in and follow us for more Main Street Saves America. Adios, guys. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.